Happy New Year, everybody. This is your host, Kirk Jr., and welcome to A Moment's Notice. It's been a while. I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday and had some good times, with their fam and their loved ones, right? Give me 1 second as I adjust the camera. All right, cool. If you've been following along and you've seen a couple of videos, you've seen I cleared a lot of this desk. Still working a couple things out, but yeah, it's actually looking like a nice little office area here. Still got to clean my desk, but you can't see that. So, and I'm going back to work today. So, vacation's over. And because I'm up, I feel ready, and in true Kirk fashion. I actually wanted to make this video yesterday, but I was tired and I just didn't get out of bed. So today, knowing that I have to go back to work, I was like, let me just do it today, and I think I'm doing a lot more just listening to myself, right? Understanding what vibe I'm currently in and just doing things when it feels right. I'm not trying to push, I'm not trying to force nothing. And because of that, I've really enjoyed the way I've done my podcast recently. And I'm excited for everything to come this year, things that I have planned, right? So I just want to jump right in, and we're going to have a moment about expectations. I think the last couple of years, for me personally, I have not lived up to my expectation of myself. And try to really figure out just why that is, right? Because it's funny, when I did my previous podcast with my friend Phil, we had talked about like New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. And he had mentioned how he doesn't really do resolutions. It's like, he just kind of keeps going. Like, all I want to do is just be better, And my cousin is like that too. I found out recently, like, he's not really big on New Year's resolutions. And I try to have like a central theme for the year, something just to kind of focus on. It's like my mantra for the year, or my, like I said, theme, right? And I just let that kind of guide me. But I think and again, this is on the fly, me trying to like figure it out in real time. I think that has a lot to do with just it being too vague or too general of a theme, right? And it doesn't really like drive me every day, and I went looking back through some of my old stuff, and this is why I like keeping my old notebooks and things that I wrote stuff down in when I was younger, right? Because I believe that since about 2013, I've been a goal setter. And since about 2013, I had an expectation truly for myself and where I thought I was going to be, who I thought I was going to be by a certain time in my life. And this is some of the same things we've discussed before, right? But I went back and looked at all the different times in my life where I was really goal oriented and was like, all right, these are the things I want to accomplish by my birthday. You know, that was really what I did. I never really had like year goals. It was more like by my birthday, you know. So I went from the end of the last year, because my birthday's in November, so the birthday from the end of that, from November 15th basically to the next year, I would do whatever. And I used to be fairly productive. And my last really, really productive year, I realized, was during 2020. Now, it impacted me a lot because of COVID, and there were certain professional things that I was no longer able to do the way I wanted to do them, right? But personally, I used that time to be like, all right, how can I make the best use of my time? And I did fairly good. And I went into 2021 with a bit of like overconfidence, just because I felt so good about completing tasks that in my head, I'm like, you know, I got this. I can do anything. Like, you know, momentum basically. And just tried to carry that into 2021. And I did, until, you know, life hit me. And life hit me in a big way in 2021. And I think that I've been kind of playing catch up ever since. Because even in 2020, like, there were things that I wanted to do when I was in college that I just stopped working on for a lot of personal reasons. You know, graduating from college and just growing and figuring out who I was as a young adult. I just kind of like didn't do goals. I was just trying to survive, truthfully. Just trying to figure out my way. And I didn't really get a good handle on it. Like, I graduated from college 2016. I didn't really get a good handle on my life post graduation until like 2019. So, you know, that time of my life was just, again, just kind of surviving. And I guess in retrospect, these last few years between 2021 and around 2023, that was a lot of shifting around, figuring out. I'm not going to say I was surviving, but I was trying to maintain. I think mentally, I was just trying to maintain and persevere and endure because, like I said, a lot of personal things hit me in big ways in 2021, and I didn't really know how to handle it for real. I'd gone through so much in that span of time that I don't think I ever really stopped to breathe. And when I had talked to my mother a couple weeks ago, I told her that, you know, I let her know that, like, because we were having a talk about being stronger as a family, right? And I was saying that, like, I think sometimes you gotta like stop and realize, wow, for a long time I've been doing a certain thing a certain type of way because I felt that's what I had to do, or I felt that's who I needed to be. And maybe I'm at a place in my life where I no longer have to do it that way. I no longer have to push through in the way that I was pushing through. Like maybe there's a better way that I can do things now, and to not use what happened in 2021 as like a crutch or an excuse anymore. Like it was real. It happened and it had a real effect on me, and it will always have an effect on my life. I'm not trying to like discredit what happened, but also I want to be able to finally take a breath and just be like, yes, that did happen. It was a lot. It was tough. But now enough time has passed that like I know what to do moving forward. I know how I can function. I know how I can operate, and I have a space now where I can be a new version of me that knows how to operate within my circumstances. So now that comes into back around to the expectations. When I think about expectations, I think about it all around, right? So at some point during this week, because I haven't really done everything, because I'm doing a lot of retooling, right? Doing a lot of reflecting, just going back and seeing what type of systems I had that allowed me to work my best, right? And when I think of that, I'm wondering like when was I my best self? When was I my most productive self? And what was I doing during that time? What was I writing about? What were my habits during that time? And just kind of think like, is there a way that I can still do that now? Is there a way that I can improve on that now? So I haven't even written down my goals for the year yet, but I have different types of goals for different aspects of my life. Like I kind of want to do the system differently. Last couple of years, it's just kind of been like, these are the things I want to do this year, and just try to estimate around what month that I could get those things done. And I think it was just a little too all over the place. I want to have a better system to be like, all right, this is what I'm focusing on right now in this moment. I realized that in the last 3 months of this previous year, 2025, I tried to do a lot within 90 days. And I split it up into sections and be like, all right, for these, I split it up into 5. So like, and for these 18 days, I'm gonna work on this. And then I did that, whatever. And I was doing good in the beginning, and then it kind of got lost in the shuffle towards the end. I think just my birthday, holidays, like just, you're not really thinking about just yourself. There's like a lot going on. And I got a little overwhelmed. There's a lot that happened near the end of the year. But honestly, I believe all those things happened in a good way. I think it was time to like just again readjust, and now that I consider myself in a true rebuild of my life, I'm taking things very, very slowly. So I don't feel like a failure because I'm 5 days into the new year and I haven't written down my goals. This is going to be a very organic process. I'm going to just trust myself. I don't feel a lack of focus. I just feel that like I just could not get to it. in the last couple of days. And there's a reason, because there's certain things I want to do before I write down my goals. And I don't want to sacrifice that part of the process just to be able to say, I did this at a certain time. So what I expect of myself is to just take it easy. And to just trust my own process and know that even if I'm slow, I am steady. And I am working. I am growing. I am figuring things out as time goes on. I just want to put less pressure on myself. And it just allows the space for like the other things and the other responsibilities that I have in my life. You know, I'm already booked for a performance. I have another performance on top of that. I have things coming up down the line that I'm preparing for. So because of that, I got to give energy to that. And I don't want to sacrifice that for these other things that I say I want to do, which I don't even really know yet. What is important to me this year? What do I expect out of my career? What do I expect out of my marriage? What do I expect of myself as a father this year? What do I expect from my family this year? What do I expect out of my friends this year? You know, set those type of expectations across the board, so that I can be very specific about where I put my energy, because I try to give everything the best of me, and I get worn out very quickly. I have found that my momentum slows down a lot around May or June. And then it doesn't pick up again until like October, November. And then right after my birthday, it just kind of like, ugh, you know, it's like whatever and I guess it's just me being used to trying to get things done by my birthday. So whatever I've done by my birthday, that's usually it, because right after that is Thanksgiving. And then after that, you're getting ready for Christmas, you're getting ready for the New Year. You're doing a lot of different things. So it's just, you know, and what do I expect from this, right? Because right now, this is a very small channel. I don't get a lot of views. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but also I have not pushed it out like that yet, which is something I do plan to do, but I'm also not going to break my back. This platform, this podcast, this endeavor of mine, no matter how big or small it gets, it is serving a purpose. So I don't want to get bogged down in how successful it is. I am still figuring out what I want from this podcast and how I want it to go, how I need it to go, and figuring out who I want to invite to be a part of this process with me. And that is a real I don't even know the right word for it. It's just a very, like, I take this process very seriously, I guess. I'm very careful about what this is for, because this means a lot to me. I think this podcast means more to me than my previous efforts, because my previous efforts were just like, I just want to make a cool show that people really enjoy and vibe, and vibe with. And I was honest on that show. I was very real on that show, but I was very focused on like, all right, well, how do I make this show successful? And like, yes, I care about that with this podcast, but this podcast is a lot more of just, I need this to work for me. It really is just a safe space for me that I want people to be, like I said, a part of down the line. But I need this on a deeper level, which is why I'm not concerned about views, because truthfully, these could just be private things that I come back to every now and then and check out to see where I was in my life at that time. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, do I have big ambitions for this in general? Yeah, of course. But I have bigger plans beyond this podcast. But again, one step, one punch, one round at a time. Like, that really is where I'm at. I want to slow down. I want to breathe. And I want to just take things as they come and give everything in my life the right amount of energy. And that, I think, is my biggest expectation, to just clear the clutter. I think I have a lot of clutter in my mind, in my life, in my home, and I just kind of want to clear the path so that I can walk through it, so that I can finally be like, all right, I'm stepping forward. I think right now I'm surrounded by everything that I never did. And I need to figure out how much of that is still important to me, how much of that is still like a necessity, which things can I let go of, which things can I be like, all right, if we're going to do it, this is it. This is the time to do it, and yeah, I'm just kind of taking my time. I don't want to really set any deadlines. I want to have even better, like micro goals within the big goals, so that I know each step of the process. And hopefully, as time goes on, this isn't a thing that I do by myself. It'll be a collaborative effort, because I thrive on that, but I have a vision, and I can only trust this with people who see the vision. And if you don't see it, then you can't really be a part of this, because this means too much to me, because now this is like my whole life, and it affects my wife and my children. And I cannot put that at risk. Everything I do has to work in their benefit as well, right? So one thing I will say, I want to earn this, right? This is a birthday gift from my friends, Aaliyah and Don. Thank you so much, right? But this is like some really nice champagne. And I've been thinking, I'm like, when is the right time, the right moment to open up this bottle? And I decided that when we come back around on my next birthday, right, which will be 32, jeez, yeah, I want to be able to say I earned this moment, right? I want to look back at the journey and be like, whatever I did it, and I did it my way, and I didn't sacrifice. the dream for anything or anyone, like, I made it. I want to sit back and be like, I really did that. And I said that either last year or the year before. When I did my podcast with Phil, when we did our last season, I said I want to get to that moment where like I can look back and be like, yo, I really did that. And I don't think I've ever fully got there, because there was always this lingering feeling of like, I could have did a lot better. And like you to a certain extent, you'll always feel that way. You'll always say that. But I can't ever really say that any year, except for like a long time ago, I gave it my absolute best. And this year is the year that I want to be able to say I did that. And if I can't do it this year, then I'm really just going to sit back and change my expectations. But, yeah, this is my time. I want to earn this bottle. So, with that in mind, I want to say to everybody, just be honest with yourself about what you expect out of yourself, and be honest about whether you can live up to that expectations, and set realistic expectations from what you expect out of other people, because then you won't really be disappointed. But people are going to be who they're going to be, and you can only control what you do. So set your expectations for yourself. But within that comes the boundaries. This is what I expect for me. So anybody who does not match that expectation for me, I can't be around that. Because it's like, you're going to be who you're going to be. And if you don't want to change who you are, that is 100% your business. But within my life, this is what I need around me. This is what I expect of my life. And I'm not going to lower my expectations for my life just because you aren't matching my vibration. Right? No judgment, no love loss. That's just what it is. I think you need that to stay focused, and to stay pure and authentic. So I would say, yeah, just hold yourself accountable, hold yourself to that standard, and only trust who you know has your absolute best interest at heart. So I'm looking forward to all the magic moments for this year. I'm about to start getting ready for the day. One good thing, right? And there were a few good things, don't get me wrong, right? But for some reason, I guess it's because I was doing the AI with the like animating the pictures and stuff like that. I'm playing around with my phone, right? One good thing I will say, there was a day that my mom, my wife, and my daughter, I was with them. They all went to the American Girl store. And there was a moment where I just kind of sat back and looked at all three of them, hanging out, spending time, looking at stuff. And Denise was running around. She was a lot that day, I'm not gonna lie, but she was excited, playing with different stuff, looking at the different toys. And then she brought her dog. And you can do this thing where your dog can have like a hair appointment, which is wild. But there's people there trained to like work with the doll's hair, and they sit in a real salon. And my daughter was into it. She was just watching and keeping in it. And every moment where I was just trying to like kind of, just kind of sit in like the guy section and just be like, all right, I'm just here, for moral support. My daughter kept wanting me to be like an active part of it. So I'm actually getting engaged and watching the way she was doing it, and you know, holding my daughter and seeing her face, seeing her get excited. Um, and it was cool. And I liked seeing all three of them, um, do an activity together and have fun. My mom was kind of looking around, trying to see things she wanted for her own dolls that she's had, and my wife was trying to find these books about her favorite American girl when she was growing up. So like, everybody was into it, and it was kind of cool. And even me, I looked around and I was like, oh, that would be a cool doll, or maybe Denise would like this. And I don't know, it was just a good day, a fun moment. We went to Shake Shack afterwards, um, had some good food, and then it was just, we just went our own way. I went with my mom and got. It was New Year's Eve. Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, I went with my mom and got. We both got bottles of sangria for New Year's Eve. I got off the train with my daughter. These two women helped us carry the stroller up the stairs, and then funny enough, all of us ended up going to that same winery. And there was another woman who saw my daughter and gave her like this little light flicker thing for New Year's Eve. So it was just good energy that day, and I really enjoyed um bringing in the new year. And you know, we didn't do anything spectacular. We didn't even wear glasses this year, but we had the horns, watched TV, simple stuff, you know, but there's magic in those simple moments. And I think I want to slow down and look for more of those and create more of those if I can, and just try to be attentive to what my family needs, right? And trying to be more unified, especially within my home, just keep everybody on the same page. So that was cool. And I think that moment, hopefully that's the beginning of better moments to come. So we'll see. And, we'll take it again, one step, one punch, one round, one moment at a time. So that is it. Thank you all for listening and watching. And we'll be back at a moment's notice.